Alright, the last one for Dark Mages went really well, and I saw a lot of suggestions. Some wanted Dragon Riders, other mages, etc. I saw armors a few times, and as I am the spearhead of armor unit supremacy, I figured I'd go for it. So, just like last time, this is not a tier list based on how good they are. This is a tier list based on how I personally like them. Be it mostly their character, some of them I do like their design and using them, but for me, their character matters more than anything else. I know some people like them for just being units or whatever. Character is here. So, as I've said last time, but I'll say it again just in case, C is the neutral zone. If they are in C, that does not mean I dislike them, doesn't mean I like them. They either have some aspects I really like and some I really don't, and they end up neutral, or I just don't have enough there to really say I like or dislike them. You'll notice quite a few characters will end up here for that reason, specifically from 2 particular games. I think you know what I'm talking about. B and A means I like them a lot. S is for genuinely love, like I adore them. If I have problems with them, they're incredibly minor. I adore them. D, I might like them a bit in places, but overall, negative, EF, you get the picture. So, let's start off with Arcanea and Drog. He's an Arcanea character. Like, he's a gentle giant. I mean, that's nice. But that archetype is kind of done more in other games and done better. Like many Arcanea characters, he's just okay. There's not enough there to like or dislike. He's the first armor in the series. As a unit, he's kind of funky because I think he has better speed and skill growths than he does defense, or at least in Shadow Dragon. But he's just the first one. There's not enough there for me to really latch on to. So, Roger. People really give this guy a hard time. Like, the fandom around Roger is kind of cringy, if I must say. If I must use the dreaded C word of cringe. Like, the simp jokes are just out of hand. They're bad. He's not that bad. He's a bit silly. His conversation with Marth after he's like, my goodness, Sheeta was wonderful. And Marth's like, yeah, funny that. That's memorable and makes me chuckle. He's not that bad. He is just kind of forgettable. There's not enough there to hate, not enough there to like. Neutral. Dolph and Macellin, I think? I don't remember how his name is spelled or pronounced, and even if I did, I'd get it wrong. Again, Arcanea Armor Knight. Like, there's not enough there. The one thing I will say, though, and I like these two, not because of any particular character reason, but I'm gonna put Dolph slightly higher because I love his dumb fucking Fire Emblem 1 design and portrait. It is so fucking goofy that I laugh every time I look at him. And Dolph and Macellin had the exact same design in the first game, but they were green, and only Dolph is green in later games, so I'm going to say that was Dolph's original design. And for that goofy-ass design, I'm giving it to Dolph slightly more in B tier. Little bit. I mostly only care about character, but sometimes design and really can pull through. Horus. I made a whole ass video analysis about this guy. Like, everything I would say about Horus, like, doesn't really need repeating. He's Horus. I love him. Solid characterization, great chapter to his name. Very well he ties into the themes of Arcanea. I love Horus to death. He is my favorite of the additions in Shadow Dragon. He is wonderful. Lorenz. I also like him. Lorenz is very much, badass old dude. You know, that's a bias of mine. his role in Arcanea is very, very interesting to think about. Because in the first game, he was the parallel to Camus. Camus was, true loyalty is sticking to my people till the end, in greatness and in death. Whereas Lorenz, his was, my loyalty to the people will cause me to even betray them to stand up for what is right to me and the cause I believe in. And it's really interesting to think of their ultimate fates, because Camus, who was stubborn and died for his people despite his morals, ended up living in the end and having a happy life, whereas Lorenz, who betrayed his people for his morals, ended up dying in the end. A tragic death in Mystery of the Emblem. And there are ways you can interpret that and think about that, and Lorenz is just a cool character to think about. His interactions are great. And fucking, look at his design. Badass old dude with an eye patch. Can't get much better. The Ginger Stud. I like him. Lucas is carried a lot by the voice acting by Greg Chun. And I'm gonna give definitely a hot take here. Other than Lucas, I don't like Greg Chun in Fire Emblem. I don't know. His Ephraim and Ike have always felt weaker than his Lucas, and I don't know why, but the voice acting in Echoes carries a lot of these characters, and Lucas is no exception. His badass line to Fernand is really well documented. I will cut your traitor's tongue from your throat, and at last you'll have the truth in your grasp. That's a fucking badass line. But other than that, Lucas is just kind of there. Like, he's the serious one, he's likable, but he's just kind of the serious one. Like, that character naturally isn't very interesting on their own, but in how they bounce off of other people. And Lucas does that alright. But he's okay. He's good. I like him. He's just not top of the line for me. Forsyth, in my opinion, does it much better. Because yes, much like Lucas, he's the serious one. He's always out fighting for his cause. Always, yeah, we gotta work. We gotta do our best. We gotta go out there. Super strict, super by the line. But he's to a ridiculous point. He's to a comical point of getting over in with the, with what has to be done. And that clashes greatly with his best friend, Python. It's a very nice friendship. It's a very good, like, serious one slacker. And it reminds me a lot of Kyle and Ford, how they characterized Forsyth in the remake. Because Kyle in Fire Emblem 8 was also super serious to an overly point. He was a little too serious. Forsyth is like that as well, and he's given a comical interaction with Python, which really helps his character. Like, literally whipping, though, like, whip, move, mule, move, and comically whips fucking Forsyth. That Forsyth whips Python, that kind of likable interaction. He's just very likable. A bit more so than Lucas is, in my opinion. I like him. Forsyth, overall, good. Valbar is also nice. He's not quite, like... I mean, his backstory is as basic as they come. People killed his family, he goes to take revenge. But there is a certain level of badass of literally taking two dudes and sailing directly to a pirate's island to fuck them up. That's a certain level of dedication. And that alone is why I like Valbar a bit more than just Like, there's also the really weird thing that is pretty well documented at this point, but why the fuck is he on the original Fire Emblem guide and cover? What did Valbar do to warrant being there? It's weird. It's another weird thing that makes him a bit more memorable than he otherwise would be. I like the big man. He's good, man. Not much else to say. He's Valbar. I like him. Arden. Are you surprised by this? Now, Arden is just one of those perfect characters that becomes so beloved because he's so bad. Like, I use Arden, I like using him. There is no getting around the fact that Arden is one of, if not, like, a strong contender for worst unit in the series. And his character's built around that. Arden, more than anyone else, knows he's Arden. He knows he's not as good as Sigurd on the front lines, and that makes his dream of fighting on the front lines with him all the more tragic because you know it can't happen. Combine that with the fact that he's very just likable, he's very sweet. When he does get himself a purty wife, as he says, he has that event in Chapter 5 where he's like, I can't go out dying now. I have children, I have a wife, I gotta fight for them. I have a family, for them. It's all for them. He doesn't become, like, gloating when he gets what he wants. He's just happy. He's happy to be fighting for something. He's happy to have a family. He's just so earnest. And that also plays into his design, because Arden is not attractive. His face is very distinct. It's kind of menacing looking. His hero's art captures that very well. He's the kind of character where him being kind of ugly enhances his character, because it adds on to the whole, I want to be this great hero, but fucking look at him. He's a great gameplay story integration of his character. He's just all around lovable. Like, in the original Choose Your Legends poll, way back in the first one, when it was probably the closest to a genuine popularity contest for the fandom at the time, rather than, I want this character to get an alt, or I think the first Choose Your Legends is a fairly accurate representation of character popularity, at least back then. Arden was one of the only 3 characters in Genealogy to crack the top 100. Literally, the worst unit in the series was popular enough to get there, and I see why. It speaks to how likable and memorable Arden is. He's memorable for being unremarkable, and we'll get to another character later who fulfills that very similarly. Hannibal. I've gushed about him in my Thracia Let's Play. I love Hannibal. Badass old dude. I love the Lorenz archetype. I love him looking at Travant and going, you're fucking stupid. Why are you doing this? He's just memorable and likable. And now that I've played Thracia, I know he's really likable and cool in that too. Fucking Leaf goes up to him. Hannibal knows he's being lied to, but still lets Leaf do what he's doing because he knows it's right. Hannibal is protecting people of Leonster willingly because he knows that's the right thing to do. It's just very good. I love Hannibal. I love his glorious beard mustache. Everything about Hannibal is good. I love the man to death. That's it. Dawson. Remember how I said Arcanea characters are very similar to other games in the respect of what do they have to work with, really? What do I have to work with Dawson? You save his brother. He's like, alright, fuck the Empire. I'll join you. It's just likable. It's memorable. And then he never speaks for the rest of the game. He's alright. Like, there's not much to him. I don't know what to say that's funny here. That's all I got. That was the fastest bit I think I've ever done. Xavier! I liked him. He was kind of Horus he was like beta Horus. Their concepts and what they are very similar. Someone that had to betray his people to protect them, even though he knows it got the scorn of his people. And his people are so adamant to protect him, to defend him, even though he himself believes himself to be a sinner. He gets everything across that Horus did earlier. And I don't know, maybe I will put Xavier in S. Like, his concept is very good. Like, you burden the weight of being a traitor and the hatred of your people to protect them. It's very good. I really like Xavier. He's infamous for being bullshit to recruit, and yes, he is. But I like him. A very solid concept of what it means to be a knight. The true meaning of being a knight. I like him dearly. And we have made it out of Kaga Emblem. And now we're on to the modern age of armor units. But before we do that, I am going to put up a list of people in impact font. Who are these people, you may ask? Well, these are my patrons. If you pay me just $3 a month, you can have your name put in impact font, and you can help me keep doing these silly videos. I should have a joke here to make this more memorable, but I have already lost my train of thought, and we are going to be moving on. Thank everyone on this list for their support. Alright, Boars. I love Boars and his fucking chin. He's, again, a very likable character. His relationship with Wendy is very nice. He's worried, but he knows it's her life to live. The reasons for being a knight, his supports with Barth are very nice. He's just nice and charming, but not quite to, like, the forgettable levels of Drog or the Arcanea knights. He's just genuinely cheerful. I like him. I like Boars a lot. Super fun, super nice. That's all. That's all you gotta be sometimes. Then we have Gwendolyn. Alright. There's just not a lot memorable to her. She's of a similar level of Arden, where she's memorable for being fucking terrible. FE6 Armor Knights. They're arguably the worst Armor Knights are outside of genealogy. Gwendolyn's the worst of the four, but that's gotten her a big fandom because she's so garbage. But it's just not quite as It's not quite as integrated to her character as much as it is Arden. She's kind of just bad. She's alright. Nothing really that memorable, nothing really that much to hate. This kind of one that blends into the background. She has a lot of fans, but I'm not one of the unit kind of thing. It just doesn't leave me as something memorable as, say, Dolph's stupid fucking design that makes me smile at her existence. Barth, though, I really like Barth. He's the overly serious one, but there's a lot of interesting things about him and how he feels about trusting other people, how he interacts with Wendy and Boars. His friendship with Boars is very nice. And an interesting thing about him, when Legance was like, I am going to usurp Ostia for myself, Barth snuffed it out. He knew Legance was a fuck. Lelina didn't believe him. Barth tried to stop it. Lelina had faith in Legance, and he betrayed her. Which is an added bit to his character and how he interacts with everything, knowing that he stopped it and failed to. That's an interesting bit about him, which I think is interesting. Yes, this interesting character is interesting, I say, as my command of the English language is yet again proven to be infallible. Douglas! Another likable, memorable character. There's, again, not a lot to him, but the thing that makes me put him above the others is he's a Lorenz archetype, very good. His motive isn't quite as understandable, like he needs to protect his king. It's not as interesting as the active oppression that goes on with Xavier that he has to do, or Horus. He's good, memorable. His appearance in the fucking FE6 manga is what puts him here. His fight with Percival in that looks so fucking cool. That is why he is here. That manga panels plural, put him above the rest. That is why he's here. I love him. Good man, good man. Now, in FE7 is going to be my first little asterisk here. Hector is technically an armor knight. He's a lord. If I do a tier list, he'd be in a lord tier list if I ever do that. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I'm ever going to do that. That's opening a can of worms that's unholy. But Hector is not here because he's a lord. I would put him in a lord tier list before an armor knight tier list. Because when you think of Hector, do you think of him as an armor knight or a lord? Like, come on. It's the same reason Edelgard's not here. They're lords before armor knights to me. So with that being said, Wallace, again, I've done a video on him. I love him dearly. He is the perfect blend of entertaining and comical to watch, mixed with genuine, serious, and interesting backstory and characterization. He's got it all. He has an unfortunate association with He Who Shall Not Be Named. And I really hope that we can separate that, because I love him. And ironically enough, I say I want to separate that by bringing it up, which just draws more attention to the comparison than if I just simply never mentioned it. I am intelligent. Oswin. I'm going to say this right now. Oswin is as much of a fucking main character in FE7 as Ninian is. Like, he is very important in Hector's story. He has a lot of dialogue. The fact that, like, he's not fully loyal to Hector at first. He's Oswin's knight, not Hector's, and how that interacts with Hector. All of that, he has a major importance. And that's a cool major importance. I really enjoy watching him. His serious personality bouncing off of Sarah or Hector is very nice to see. He's just good. I also think he's one of the, like, 2 armor knights that people in the fandom think is a good unit. It's what? Oswin and I think people think Xavier's alright. And if you count Dussel, definitely Dussel. But, like, he's good. I love Oswin a lot. He's super fun to use. I've promoted him a few runs. Like, I have neglected Sane and Kent for Oswin a few times and had a good time. Oswin is a very good character, very memorable. He does marry a woman 17 years younger than he is, but for some reason, when Celica does it, she gets the attention, probably because, I know why. Roy's a much more popular character, people know about it. I don't know. I don't think that's a strike against him if you consider the time period it's in. If anything, we should be thankful that the women marrying in these games are doing it with choice. But that's it, really. That's a weird thing of Oswin's I think about, that he can marry Sarah. But, I don't know. That's weird things I think about that I probably shouldn't. I fucking love Gilliam. I don't know. I feel like Gilliam has, like, this silent fandom that, like, you don't think of Gilliam as way to go, yeah, important character. But, like, he's there. A lot, in fact. Like, people love this guy. And I totally get it. He's the overly serious character. Like, you'll notice a lot of Armor Knights kind of fit the serious one trope. But the things that help him stand out are who he interacts with. The clash with him and Serene is very cute. Serene's the sunshine one, super sweet and happy, and Gilliam is Gilliam. He works very well with Nemi for the same reason, the same thing with Franz. He's given sunshine people to work with, and it makes him very memorable, very likable. His support with Franz is very nice. Like the pride of his Freljord Armor Knight, he teaches Freljord training tactics to Franz, and then he learns of Renee training tactics, and it's like this sharing of knowledge to make them both stronger. That's really nice. His romance with Serene is very nice. His friendship with Mulder is also very good. Like, the fact... Oh, I don't know if everyone's seen this, but in Gilliam Mulder supports, Mulder was the priest in charge of handing Hayden, I think, his crown? When Hayden was, what's the term? Crowned, there's a word for it, by coronation. At Hayden's coronation, and you know, Mulder is handing off the crown to the king. He is fucking jittery, nervous as shit, as you would be, and this punk-ass recruit Gilliam yells in the back, "Get a hold of yourself, man," at such an important event, and Mulder's like, "Ugh," almost drops the crown. That kind of, like, flashback is super funny to me. I always remember that scene. I love Gilliam. Gilliam loves me, and he loves you. Dussel, you might remember, he's a cavalry unit. Dussel... Great Knights are armored and cavalry at the same time, which is weird, but, like, they're weak to armor slayers and also anti-cavalry weapons, and they can promote from knights. So, I always felt like he was more of an armor knight than a paladin. You can disagree with me, but he has the feeling of an armor knight. So, I'm going to put him with armor knights. But that's my opinion. And he gets a fucking S. You might notice I really, really like the Lorenz archetype. Like, you might notice that's one of my favorites. And Dussel is a big player in that. what his loyalty means and how it genuinely breaks him when he has to betray his kingdom because they don't give him a choice. Like, the pain he feels is very, like, memorable to me. His interactions with Selena and Ephraim are very memorable. And his talk with Cormag's very good. His supports are all great. His support with Cormag about Valter is very good, about what it means to be a knight and how it feels to wield power. His support with Ephraim about those two be, like, teacher-student relationship, very good. His support with Amelia is his most infamous, for a good reason. Like, him helping this girl who thought she was an orphan find her long-lost mother, and the tears he sheds for her. Very memorable scene. His support with Noel, everything about Dussel is good. This is a very likable, very memorable character. He is a register of the badass old dude squad. He is great. I love Dussel to pieces. His name is the Obsidian, and Obsidian is a really fucking cool rock. That has very little to do with anything. I just thought it was worth mentioning. Alright. On to Tellius, we have Gatry. Alright. I believe I've said this before, but if I had to pick my least favorite trope in Japanese media, it's the womanizer trope. How many times do you see the joke of woman appears and man goes, ooh, before it gets tiring? Like, I don't like if you ask me who my least favorite member of the One Piece crew is, it's Sanji. If you ask me who my least favorite character in anything is, it's usually the womanizer. I think this trope is annoying. However, you might notice Gatry is favorable. Why is that? A few reasons. First of all, I like that he abandons the Grail mercenaries when Grail dies. Because that's a very, like, a lot of the time when children are forced to lead armies in Fire Emblem, no one questions it. I like that Gatry and Shannon question it. It's a spin on the thing that's very interesting. Combine that with the fact that, like, no one's really upset that he left. Like, if you use the talk commands for all of his conversations on the chapter where he's a green unit, everyone's like, hey, Gatry, I'm glad you're doing all right. And he's like, hey, guys, I'm glad you're doing all right. It's very likable, very charming. He has that asshole, not asshole thing going on with Shannon that's always good. And the other thing about Gatry that I like, he never wins. What I mean by that is he never gets the girl. Something I feel like these womanizer tropes fuck up with is when the guy gets the girl. Like, no, Sane shouldn't be able to marry anyone. He's a womanizing douchebag. He should be punished for that. When Sylvain gets the girl, no, he should be punished for that. He shouldn't get married. He shouldn't be allowed to. Like, these people should never win for their behavior. They should always lose. That's why I like Gatry and Saul in Fire Emblem 6. They never get the girl. They always lose due to their own incompetence or due to the world just shitting on them, as it should. Like Gatry's ending in Radiant Dawn. He found many women, but never true love. Yeah, he's an idiot who just wants to hit on women. He's not going to find true love like that. Also, him trying to hit on Jelly Woman in Heroes was funny. Like, I'm of the mind that Heroes and other supplementary media to things can make a character better and more likable. Like, Douglas is here for the FE6 manga. A lot of my love for Sigurd and Arvis is from the FE4 manga. Gatry and Heroes, I 100% am of the mindset that they can elevate a character to more they were in their base game. Gatry is an example. Super funny scene in FE Heroes. He's here for that. I like him. Braum, though, he's just a family man. He's a farmer. He's just cute. Like, this conversation with Boyd where he keeps, or is it Ike? I can't remember. Where he keeps, like, 5 little rocks that he pretends are his family and just asks, hey, how y'all doing? How's the farm holding up? He's just a man who's in it for his family. That's it. And that's a very sweet, likable backstory. His supports are very nice. His character's very nice. I have a soft spot for the simple family man. Is he really, like, as complex or interesting as a lot of the other characters up here? No. But he's of a trope that I have a soft spot for. All he wants to do is protect his family, and I, for one, am here for it. He's a fan. He listened to Guile's advice from Street Fighter and went home to be a family man. God bless him. Taronio! God, I love Taronio. First of all, silver armor, cool as shit. Second of all, that mustache, cool as shit. Third of all, his boss conversation with Ashnard single-handedly elevates him. First of all, the problem is Ashnard has some of the best, if not the best, boss conversations in the series. Why would anyone hear them? You can only fight him with the Lagoo Royals and Ike, basically. Regardless, what Taronio does is he walks up and he's like, you know, I gotta hand it to you, Ashnard. No one in the history of Dayan has had as much power and influence as you have. But you know, no one has also used their influence for something as fucking stupid as you have. And his final line is, you know what? I've decided. I will be known in history as Taronio the Kingslayer. Come, Ashnard, let me learn my name. Let me earn my name. That is fucking badass. That is like the level of confrontation and fuck you that I cannot stop loving. I love Taronio. He is great. He's also one of the few characters in Radiant Dawn that don't get butchered from Path of Radiance. So, good on him for that. If only Radiant Dawn let me fucking use him. Pisses me off. Speaking of, we're on to Radiant Dawn. You might say, oh, you could control the Black Knight in Radiant Dawn. He's an armor unit. He's a villain. Like, I'm not going to put him on this list either. He would be on a villain list because that's what he is. He's a villain. He should be judged as how he is as a villain with other villains. So yeah, that's why I'm putting that. Meg. Meg has a very similar disposition to Wendy and Arden in that she is so beloved because she is unremarkable. If Arden was a contender for worst unit in the series, as is Wendy, Meg is also up there. Meg is fucking garbage. Like, you have to bend over backwards to make her not suck. And people do it. People do it in a heartbeat. Because there's something lovable about being garbage. Meg has drawn in people for being garbage. And I like it. I genuinely like it. I don't think I like it enough to be any more than unremarkable, because again, I'm not too into the whole... She doesn't have much there. She shows up out of nowhere, has one kind of funny conversation with Zahark, and then that's it. She's gone forever. There are some people that would put Meg in S tier purely because of how garbage she is, and she's become lovable for that. There's something to say about that, but it's not really why I'm here. But she's memorable for that reason. I will concede that. I interrupt this tier list of opinions to bring to note the fact that I have many patrons who have paid enough money to warrant having me say their names in a video. For $5 a month, you can also have your name read, like such patrons as Drew Hack, Great Riek, Kieran Morin, Ryan Walter, Gispy Stryker, and Brendan Durrell Shipley. A big thank you to these wonderful people. And now, back to your regularly scheduled shitty opinions. Kellum. I'll put him in A. He is very similar to Braum in that he's just a country boy who wanted to help his family and people, and so he joined the army to protect them. The reason that he's very memorable is his conversation with Maribel's very sweet. Maribel's like, why do you wear an armor that's clearly too big for you? Because, like, you look at his design and it's stupid. Like, why the fuck is he in that big thing? He doesn't fit. Well, the reason when he went off and said, I'm going to be a knight, his entire village pitched in to buy him a suit of armor so he could be a great fighter right out the gate. And they got his size wrong. They thought he was bigger than he was. They bought the wrong size armor for him. But that armor is filled with the dedication and love of his friends and family, and he will not trade it for the world. He will fight in that armor that's too big for him. And I'm sorry, that's too sweet and too cute for me not to put him high up. His other supports are very likable, very charming. He's just a guy who wants to help people. Not complex, but definitely not bad. I will have to admit, his "no one knows Gilliam's there" gag is dumb. I don't get it. It's stupid, like a lot of Awakening character gimmicks. But you'll notice, and this is a trend when I start talking about more and more Awakening units, if you ignore their stupid gags, a lot of Awakening characters are really likable and memorable. Thankfully, Gilliam's gag isn't that, like, annoying. It's weird more than anything else, and I don't understand it. But it doesn't actively make me dislike him. I like Gilliam. Is it pronounced Kelly, Kejile, Gile, Jelle? I don't know, and I genuinely almost always forget this woman exists. This is a very similar thing to like Leo from the last video, where she could genuinely be interesting. The only thing I remember with her is her conversation with Sully about talent and how that word fucking sucks. And that was kind of memorable. Beyond that, I don't fucking know. I don't remember a damn thing about this character, and I actually have played through Awakening a fair amount of times. This woman exists, and that's about all I can say about her. I can't hate her, but I genuinely don't remember her at all. For all of you fans of her out there, maybe she's an underrated gem. I got fucking nothing for you. Effie! I don't know. Like, Effie's likable enough. She definitely has more to her than some of the, like, show up and say nothing characters. If I remember correctly, I heard her personality is one of the most altered in the localization. In the localization, she's this buff, yeah, I'm a buff lady, yeah, kind of character. Whereas, and that's, like, memorable, it's kind of funny, kind of charming, but, like, nothing too great. Whereas in Japanese, the gag was she was a very stereotypical, feminine, quiet woman who could also fucking bench press you to high hell. And that was the gag, that her pretty face and mannerisms belied her true character. Or true strength, excuse me. I don't necessarily think it's a downgrade or an upgrade. I think both tropes kind of have the same. It's likable, but not exactly the most incredible. And I remember her likable enough. Her supports with everyone are nice. She doesn't do anything too asshole-ish. Well, actually, I do remember her Jacob support. She's an asshole and just eats something Jacob prepared for someone else and then blamed him for leaving it out. Like, that was kind of a dick move. Like, other than that, she's likable, memorable. I'll tell you one thing, though. She's no Benny. I love Benny to pieces. He is another trope where you could look at him and put him in, like, C if you don't gel with it. His trope is the, I am very, very scary looking, but actually I am a heart of gold. And I blame this that my first rom-com anime I ever watched was Toradora, and Ryuji, the main character of that show, is that trope, and he was my first time seeing it, so the trope has a positive connotation in my mind. I love Benny. He's just nice. He's fucking nice. All he does is be nice. Like, I don't... Again, he's a character that probably shouldn't be an A, but he's a trope I really like, so that's elevating him more than what it should be. But I have a soft spot for really likable characters that have to fight the appearance God gave them. That's it. No specific Benny moment comes to mind. He's just always sweet. I like Benny. Benny's a good guy. Ignatius, I think his name is. I don't remember. Remember how again, this is the Leo thing. I've only played Fates once per route. I do not know enough about him. I barely remember he exists. I have nothing to say here. Dedue! I love me Dedue. He He's just all around a likable character. He's the stern, silent one type. That's always a trope that I kind of... The problem with stoic characters is they can either be really boring if you fuck it up. I don't think they fuck it up with Dedue. He's stoic, but like... His interactions with the Blue Lions are really nice. He does kind of suffer from not being able to be out of the Blue Lions. Excuse me. So, like, he can't really interact on different routes. You only hear his thoughts about the Azure Moon route, none of the others. And that does kind of hurt him, in my opinion. It's the same thing about... I didn't mention it with Hubert because I forgot about it. But I'd like to see him... Maybe he stands against Dimitri, but he never would. The way he shares the culture of Dusker with Ash or with Flame, it's all very nice and memorable. I know some people give Dedue shit for being a sort of white savior character. For those of you who don't know what it is, a lot of time in media, a person of color will be saved by the white man or woman and dedicate their lives to them, and, oh, the white people are great. Yeah, Dedue is kind of that, but at the same time, at least what I felt, wasn't that mentality of Dedue's kind of shamed? Didn't Felix be like, hey, buddy, stop idolizing Dimitri so much. Think for your own goddamn self. Like, granted, it's just Felix, but sometimes that's all you need. Like, Dedue is encouraged to spread the knowledge of Dusker, to be a man of Dusker, not just Dimitri's right-hand man. So, while I totally get if some people have a problem with that, I don't think it's done that poorly here. Then again, I'm fucking white as mayonnaise, so maybe Dedue is a problem. But I never got that. I thought he was likable. Alright. And finally, we have Gilbert. Again, I've made a video on him. I have made a video on, like, 3 of these characters out of my 18 character analysis videos. There's a reason for that. I love them. Gilbert is a great example of survivor's guilt done right. Like, is he a shitty father? Yes. He abandoned his child due to his own feelings of no self-worth. Is that shitty? Yes. Does the game remind us that that's shitty? Yes. Does it remind us that he's not a bad man at heart? He just has mental problems he needs to work through? Yes. Does he work through those mental problems? Yes. Very interesting character. He has ties to major events in the game's story. I love Gilbert to death. If there's anything I can really rag on him for, it's that he is a very, very serious character. Like, a lot of Three Houses dialogue can be very funny and charming. Not with Gilbert. I don't think there's a single joke in any of Gilbert's supports. Maybe the Manuela one. But, like, that's it. He's a very serious character. And not everyone likes that. Some people want to see Gatry fuck up and fail to hit on women. Some people want to see the goofier, funnier stuff. And Gilbert just doesn't have that. He is played very serious. But I'm okay with that. I like that. I understand if you maybe had a neglectful parent, Gilbert rubs you the wrong way. And you can't look past that. And I get that. But I still love him to death. And I think he's a very interesting character to analyze and learn more about. But that's it. I didn't intend for it to be this even. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I don't dislike a single Armor Knight in the series. I think they're all decent, mediocre at best. I love Armor Knights. I've used every single unit on this list except maybe Dolphin, Macellan, and Roger. I don't think I've ever used Roger. I love them. I will continue loving them. I will never stop loving them. Also, I forgot to mention Dedue's on here because his base class, when you encounter him as an enemy, is Fortress Knight. So he seemed to be an implied Armor Knight. That was it. I should have mentioned that sooner. I forgot. Thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one of these I do. Again, leave suggestions for what you want to see. and I will listen to them and probably put them in a poll on Patreon, which you should give me money for. Yes, I am shameless. No, you cannot stop me. See you next time. Take care. I forgot to tell you to take care. My brain just went blank.